Hey everybody, Kenny Ducey here. Not from the U.S. Open, not from a dungeon, but from my New York City apartment. I just got done watching one of the most insane tennis matches of all time. I'm sure you did too. What a night at the U.S. Open. I mean, I say I just got done. It was many hours ago now. I just woke up, but my goodness, we'll never forget that match. And I know we're here to talk about the women's semifinals today, but we will talk about the men's semifinals later today from the U.S. Open. But just an unbelievable war between the future. You know, the two guys that are the future of this sport. Just such an exceptional level of tennis. Can't even. I mean, I could talk for 5 hours about how great that match was. You don't want to hear about it, but man, it was great. We got to get into some picks here. I want to talk about both of the women's matches here today for the semifinals. First one, Carolina Garcia, Ons Jabeur. They have played twice before. Ons Jabeur owns the head-to-head 2-0. She won 2019 here at the U.S. Open in 2 sets. She won the next year at the Australian Open a few months later in 3 sets, with Garcia taking the first 6-1. It's a totally different story. Now, I know Ons Jabeur has raised her level since those days. She was one of the most exciting players on tour. She was very good, but she was not a top 5 player. You know, now she is solidified herself as a top 5 player, if not higher, in the world. And she's a great shot maker. But you know what Carolina Garcia has done? She has completely changed her career. She was, for the unfamiliar, always one of the most talented players on tour, but mentally had issues. She could not finish off matches. She could not serve in pressure moments. The forehand would get away from her. She'd make way too many errors. I think her last match against Coco Gauff was all the proof that you need that Carolina Garcia can be trusted now, especially here at this U.S. Open. She was firing winners, off the forehand wing. She was serving incredibly well. She was serving her way out of pressure. She faced a lot of pressure from Coco Gauff. There were a few errors here and there from the American, but the crowd was just raucous. It was a raucous atmosphere, ready to blow, completely against Carolina Garcia. And that was the story against Ali Risk as well, the match before at Louis Armstrong. But when it's all said and done, she has now won 13 straight matches. It has been an absolutely incredible run from qualifying in Cincinnati, coming through a stacked field: Petra Martic, Maria Sakkari, Elisa Mertens, Jessica Pegula. I can't talk because I was up till 4 a.m. Arina Sabalenka, Petra Kvitova, and then here, Bianca Andreescu, Ali Risk, Coco Gauff, Anna Kalinskaya, who was hot. So the names that she has dispatched in short order, mind you, she hasn't dropped a set here at the U.S. Open. Just incredibly impressive. And when you look at Ons Jabeur, she had a great win over Alya Tomljanovic. Sure, she faced adversity in that match. She was broken back many times. Against Veronika Kudermetova, she was broken serving for the match. Shelby Rogers, she dropped the set. It looked like she was going to lose that match. She was down, in the first set to Elizabeth Mandlik. Not for the inexperience of Mandlik. Maybe she loses that set. Maybe she loses the match. Who knows? So I just think it's a tale of two different players. I think Garcia has been the most dominant player in the women's draw, and I can say that with a ton of confidence. And Jabeur has been wavering a little bit, and I think that there's a clear favorite here, and it is Garcia, and I will play her at minus 150. I think that this is going to be an excellent battle of two incredible ball strikers. But for me, Garcia just a notch above Jabeur right now mentally. In the dominance factor, I don't know how she's going to come out for a Grand Slam semifinal, but I do know, if the quarterfinal is any indication, if the 4th round is any indication, it's going to be very strong. It's going to be mentally locked in. She was just, I don't know how to describe it. She was a juggernaut in that last match. So yeah, I'll take Carolina Garcia. All right, next match here, Arina Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek. You probably know both of these players. Iga Swiatek, of course, the number 1 player in the world. Arina Sabalenka is a top 10 player, has been a top 10 player for many years now. Has been waiting to make this breakthrough. She's, battled herself mentally with second serve issues. Before we get to that, I do want to mention We have a nice promo at the DraftKings Sportsbook, exclusive promo. You click the link in the video description below. You bet $5 at any NFL or college game. You get $200 back that instantly, that day, that minute. It's that easy. Just go to the link in the video description below. Bet $5 on tonight's Rams-Bills game. $200 instantly. It's a no-brainer. You have to do it. Click the video. Click the video description. Click the link in there. It's right there. It's right below this video. But no, in all seriousness, this match, two high-profile players, and if you're a casual observer of the sport, maybe you're just tuning in now looking for some semifinal picks. You haven't been following a ton of the tournament. You think, okay, Iga Swiatek, dominant number one player, never makes mistakes, never loses matches. Arena Sabalenka, you remember her from earlier in the season, couldn't hit second serves, double faulting everywhere, bad mental player, one of the easiest good players to beat on tour. Completely different story here. Iga Swiatek, last night against Jessica Pegula, there were 10 breaks in the second set. 10 breaks. She looked so uncomfortable on serve. She was donating errors. I know that she stretched the court out, as they were saying on ESPN, and uses the whole court so well. Makes you run around. In theory, yeah, not a good matchup for Sabalenka, but there were just way too many errors coming out of the racket. There was not enough dominance on serve, and frankly, Pegula doesn't have a lot of pace, so that was a good matchup for Swiatek. She was able to force the issue. Sabalenka is a player with a ton of pace. She's going to bring a ton of pace. She's going to hit the ball very hard. She's going to be more dominant on serve. And I just was incredibly impressed with her against Danielle Collins in what was probably the toughest match of the tournament for her. I know that, she was down like 5-1 against Kaya Kanepi, but that's not really a tough match. It's just like she kind of choked. The Danielle Collins match, the crowd was against Sabalenka. Collins was competing incredibly hard. She was such a hard out, and Sabalenka just powered through her. And then the revenge on Pliskova, who owned the head-to-head against her as well, just got her at Wimbledon. So it could be a similar situation unfolding here. Masters Cup last year, at the end of the season, Sabalenka took down Swiatek. All 3 times they've played this year, it's been Swiatek 2-0. But again, I think that this is a different scenario. Okay, 2 of those matches were on clay. One of them was back when Sabalenka couldn't hit second serve. Sabalenka looks unbelievable now. She looks like such a better player, and I think the value is all on Sabalenka at plus 175. Take a little nibble of that. I'm not going 3 units on that, but I do think that Swiatek probably loses tonight. She just does not look like herself. She almost lost to Julie Niemeyer. She was down a set in that match. Looked like she was going to go down a break in the second. She was down a break to Lauren Davis in the first set. Lauren Davis of all players, right? So and then she lost to Maddie Keys in Cincinnati. She lost to Beatrice Heradmaya in Toronto. She lost in Warsaw to Carolina Garcia. Maybe a preview of the final. So this is just not the same Iga Swiatek we saw in the Sunshine Double when she was not losing matches, when she was on a 30-plus match winning streak. It's not the same player. And Sabalenka's not the same player as she was back then either. She's much better, and we know she has incredible talent. And again, just that's been the story of the tournament for people I've talked to, for myself included. No one expected Sabalenka to come out and look like this, and she looks incredible. So I got to take her. And I got to take the favorite on the other side, Garcia. We'll head to the U.S. Open in a little bit. We'll do the men's semis previews. Should be two cracking affairs tonight. Looking forward to it.